So it's August 25th, and on this day in Cold War history in 1945, John Birch was killed by Chinese communists. Now, that might not sound like a big deal, but he's going to become the namesake of the John Birch Society. He's an American missionary to China before World War II. During World War II, he becomes a captain in the United States Army. And then after the surrender of Japan, Chinese communists killed John Birch. We're not exactly sure why. Birch again becomes the namesake for the John Birch Society. The John Birch Society is something like what MAGA is today, except it's not about MAGA views. It's radically anti-communist, but they have this like virulent anti-communist stance, and they're going to pick up 100,000 members in the 1960s and 1970s. Okay, 1948. Alger is in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee in Congress. This hearing is televised, and Hiss is denying that he's a communist spy on this day in 1948. He was charged by Whittaker Chambers for espionage, and he's not brought to prison because of spying, but he's later sentenced with because of perjury, and he spent 5 years in prison. He maintained his innocence to his death, but if you want to read a compelling story, get a hold of this book, Witness by Whittaker Chambers. In 1983, the US and the USSR signed a $10 billion grain pact. The USSR is an interesting phenomenon. It can militarily control things, but it couldn't seem to feed its own people. And the US was looking for a market for American farmers, and so it was a symbiotic relationship. But the USSR was profoundly inefficient in its farming technology, and that's because of collective farms, which are supposed to be better than and more efficient than the individual farms, but the incentive structure and the way that human beings react to that just didn't work out. And then in 1984, the USSR performs an underground nuclear test on this day in history, 25 August. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes and the shares and the subscribes, and for being the kind of person who cares about the world that we live in.